Hello, my name is Jana. I live in a forest. Sometimes I make things, and today we're making a thing. I really wanted to do something with my scraps that I was kind of organizing in a previous video. I'm going to link it. And they're very, very small scraps, and I was going through my paper pieces that I already had, and I was trying to match the paper pieces with the little scraps of fabric that I had laying around. And I ended up making quite a lot of squares, and so I came up with a project that I'm going to do a simple pencil case. That was the idea. I used to always use this one. It's from a Czech company. They make all kinds of cool stationery. They are located in Prague. They're called Papelote. I don't know. They're really cool. So it's a simple pencil case. It has a zipper and it has lining. That's all. And that was my plan. I was going to take my squares, make some fabric out of them, make a simple pencil case with a zipper, because I have never done a zipper before. So that was going to be the challenge that I promised to myself. And I was going to add a little thing, like a little half circle made of metal. Where are they? Do I have one? So I was going to add one of those because I want to make it a little bit fancy. What ended up happening is not what I planned, but I should have guessed that that would happen. So let me show you what I did up to this point, and then we'll come back to and I'll show you what I have. I'm starting a new thing today. I did some prep work. I have a bunch of those squares, 1-inch squares, already made, and today I'm going to put them on a board, arrange them the way I like them, and that's going to be a base of our future thing that we're making. I'm 2 pieces short. How did I do that? How do I always do that? It's okay. I actually found one. So I'm only 1 piece short. I wanted a blue one, but I only have this strip that's good for this size, and I don't want to cut into any of the better ones. So we'll do some magic. The the idea with the board is that I can put it on and off my desk whenever I have time to work on it, and I can cover it with something so that the cats don't ruin everything. And because it's a bit too much work to do in one sitting, but yeah, I'll slowly work on it, and by the end of the week, where we sit down to assemble the finished project, I'm going to have all the patchwork done. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to take those and I'm going to make columns, and then I'm going to join them like that. But A common problem is when I start handling them, I'm going to lose where the top is. So I'm now going to take this roll of washi tape and just mark every top square so that I don't have to think about it ever again. And when I have all of my columns done, I'm sure that they're not upside down. Like, it's not that important, but it's important enough to spend 1 minute fixing the future problem. And by the way, I could right now go and write a number of a column on a washi tape. I might do that. I actually might. I'm not worried about the washi tape leaving any adhesive on the fabric because it's only going to stand there for less than a week. But if it had to stay longer, I would just probably take a photograph and hope for the best. Because these pieces are too small to pin anything to them, so that wouldn't work. I'm so organized I can hardly recognize myself. As I'm sitting here stitching, I changed my mind about a couple things. So originally I was going to make a very simple pencil case, and I've decided that it's going to be 8 by 4, and it won't have anything complicated about it. It's just going to be a bag with the zipper on top. But now, first of all, I've decided that the proportions are a little bit harsh, like 2 to 1, 8 by 4, like that's a bit modern. So I took one of the columns away and now it's going to be 7 by 4. A little bit, more square. Tiny bit more square, but it just makes it look a little bit more feminine, I suppose. And then I've decided that I want to have rounded corners because I watched a YouTube video. There's a lady making beautiful bags, and I'm all into bags. And the more difficult the bag, the better. But for now, I'm going to do round corners, and there's going to be like a side. Originally, there was not going to be a side to the bag, but now it's going to have a side. Unfortunately, I don't think that the pencil case is now going to fit a Tombow, but most pencil cases don't. So I'm not sure if I'm mad about it, but it's just something that I want to try out, putting zippers into things. And I want to start my journey into making bags and stuff. One half of the case is partially assembled, another one is not, but you can see that I think it looks more friendly now. So, because I'm using scraps that come from a project that's not very typical for me, the color palette is also not very typical for me, and I find it a little bit dull. I usually like to have things with more character, and for that reason, I'm very tempted to change the pattern because all those squares, it's just a little bit boring. So I have about a million ideas of how I could spice things up, and I'm having to fight very, very hard to stop myself from doing that because I'm using scraps, and using scraps is good, and I don't want to create more scraps, and I don't want to make this into a more difficult project that it has to be, because it was supposed to be a quick little thing, and I'm going to try my best to keep it from getting even more complicated, because I've already added enough difficulty. So yeah. Often you see with those types of pencil cases and stuff, there's a label on the front, on one of the sides, and this label provides enough visual interest for this bag to be more than just a plain bag, but something interesting. And when there's like a pattern of squares that are all the same size, it looks a bit monotone. So adding a little something, like putting one of the squares on point, would have been so cool. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not. Sometimes I feel like having too many options is a problem. And like, I'm quilting this panel, and I thought that I'm going to go through each diagonal. Then I thought, well, that's too much. I could do that on a machine, or I could do it top to bottom, and it's going to be interesting. What if I try that? But I'm already doing it. So I should stop fantasizing about all the different things that I could do, because I'm already in the trenches. It's too late. Welcome back. So here is what I have right now. I should probably do it on a table. So here is what I have. Panel number 1. As you can see, I have rounded corners, because what's the fun in making things simple? I have quilted this simple grid pattern, and I actually would be interested to see what it would look like done on a machine. I'm even tempted to add little lines on each side of the quilted line, because I think that that could look cool. I'm not going to do this today because options are killing me. I have too many options. Here's the second panel. And here's a little thingy that I've prepared. This is going to be like a keyring. That's a thing I prepared. That's the zipper that we're using. Here is a little bit of lining with a little bit of wadding ready to go on the side. And I also have some fabric and some wadding to go on each side of the zipper. And I have a bunch of scraps. But the most important thing of all is that I have a list. One of the most important things that I did in preparation for this yesterday is that I made a list of all the steps that I think I need to go through to finish this project. And if only I stayed with the original idea, we would have finished it by now. But alas. A little disclaimer before we start. I don't know what I'm doing, so please be kind. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have seen enough videos of people putting zippers in to have some idea. So I marked the middle of the zipper, and I marked the middle of my fabric. That's my top fabric, and I'm going to place it right here, and I'm going to secure it with a pin for now, and then I'm going to take my back piece. It's symmetrical, which is really nice, and I'm going to put it in the same place, and I'm going to put the wadding later because I'm not sure if it's even necessary, and for now I'm going to try and keep it simple. I'm going to attach the wadding later, and my fabrics here are a lot wider than I need, so that I can cut off the rest when I'm finished putting everything together, and this way I'm not as afraid to mess things up. The seams aren't perfect, but they are in place. And trying to film, it doesn't make things easier. Having a camera in the way doesn't help, so I had to get rid of it. Because it's more important to get a nice seam. Or is it? Next step is adding wadding and top stitching. Here's how I see this. I have my two halves. I'm going to take a little bit of wadding, put it close to the seam, close it, maybe even closer to the zipper, so that it can create some volume and maybe hide some of my sins. And like that, I'm going to pin it in place and top stitch it, and this way all of my panels are going to have wadding in them. I'm not sure if I'm using this foot correctly, but I like it. And I have successfully hidden all of my sins, I think, but I'm not sure if it's not going to create more problems. But for now, everything's fine. Everything is okay. And this is the best top stitching that I've ever done in my life. I do a lot of things when I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I think that in a lot of ways that's the right way to go about some things. Like, the stakes are very, very low. I'm risking a little bit of fabric, a little bit of wadding, and a little bit of time. And I should get this video done because I promised it's on the video. But I'm sure that people who have watched my previous video where I promised a video will be very understanding if I fail. So I think that experimenting with fabric is the most fun way to do something, because the stakes are very low, but the results can be unexpectedly good. Like, I didn't expect this to be that easy. Like, it wasn't without hiccups, but it was a lot easier than I imagined, because it was always like, oh, putting in a zipper, oh, the zipper, come on. I need to check what's on the list. I have attached the zipper to the fabric, and now it tells me to cut off the excess fabric from the sides. This thing is 2.5 inches because that's the easiest measurement, because everything is 2.5 inches these days, and this panel needs to be the exact same size. I'm not going to do it like that, I'm just checking that it fits. I need to... So, if I need a 2.5 inch strip, then the middle of the zipper should be on a 1.25 inch line. Yeah? 1.25. My next step is going to be connecting several strips of fabric into a binding-like type of strip. This is the one that I have left from a quilt, and I'm going to first make sure that all of my pieces are the right width, and then I'm going to just do a regular kind of strip of fabric about this long. I have measured it very, very loosely, so this is more than I need, so I'm going to make this much. As soon as I'm done assembling this strip, I'm going to quilt it to this lining and with a little bit of wadding, and yeah, I feel like I'm going to have to spend the night here. Maybe not. It's 4 o'clock. There's hope. Should be enough. I don't know what I'm doing, as I mentioned, so I don't know the exact length of this thing that I need. That's why I'm going to quilt it with an idea that I'm going to have to cut some things off. So I'll just do 3 lines of stitching, very simple, maybe ½ inch apart. This way, it all should be good. I had to go and bring the little fellow with me, that's why he's going to be audible in the video now. He's not very happy. Now, because I'm making things up as I go, plans change all the time, so I have some lines on here, but I'm going to attach one of the ends of my side panel to the zipper so that I have a little bit more understanding of where I'm going, like only the other end is going to be the mystery. And this one I'm going to attach, and I'm going to do some quilting lines on this panel as well. Okay. Did some quilting. I have left a little bit, like this much unquilted on this side with some thread, and I have left quite a lot unquilted on this side because I don't know the length of my strip, because that's how I do things. Right now I'm going to just trim the wadding a little bit so that everything is neat, but that should be the last unknown of this project. I'm going to take this strip and baste it to the panel, and this way I'm going to figure out exactly how long of a strip I need, and then I'm going to finish the other end, and everything is going to be amazing. And yeah, let's go. Now I'm close to closing this thing, and I have too much. That's what we want. We don't want too little, we want too much. So I'm just taking out the stitches that I made so that I don't have to cut off the thread, and I'm going to cut off the material and try my best not to mess things up, because if I don't, everything's going to be fine from here till the end of the project, because everything else is going to be easy. At least that's the idea. Okay, I'm going to bring them together even closer. Well, I didn't bring this panel all the way to the end, but I'm going to do this now, and my basting stitches were too big in the beginning. Now I'm getting a little bit more reasonable, I think, because we don't need small stitches here. Okay, now I think it's very unfortunate that I have it on the corner, but we'll have to work with that. And now I'm going to get as close as I can from the opposite end. Because if I mess this up, I'm going to break down and run away and finish it tomorrow. And the video is going to be late. I'm going to be embarrassed. Everybody's going to be unhappy. We don't want that. Okay. I already am not at my best. Okay, now I'm as close as I can be. So now I think that I can happily snip this off and have... I didn't show you what I was doing. Okay, now we join this thing off camera because on camera it's going to be too difficult. Here is what I did. I just took this side panel without the lining and I stitched it to this thing. Now I'm going to cut out the wadding out of the seam as much as I can. And after that, I'm going to just fold the lining on top of this thing, like so, and top stitch it from the front. And this way, everything is going to theoretically look more or less like this, and it's going to be clean. All done. Is it the best seam that I've ever made? No, but it looks good from both sides. Zip works. That's what we want. And it still fits this corner. So here's the thing. It's getting late and I'm tired and I'm faced with a choice. Do I quickly put it all together and go have dinner and worry about the finishing later? Or do I do it properly and get everything thread basted before I go to the machine, just to make sure that nothing gets misaligned and everything stays in place and everything is nice, and I don't forget to put the thing into the thing. And I think that I know what the right thing to do is, so we're going to do that. I'm going to take my time and baste everything into place. Then I'm going to go have dinner. Then I'm going to come back and finish it. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to finish it today because you see, this part needs binding, and binding takes time. So I'm not sure, maybe we'll just finish the outside. I'll show you the outside. We'll think that it's cute and I'm going to go to sleep. So this bag is almost finished. At least it's finished on the outside, and that's what matters in the world of content creation. I need to finish the seams on the inside. They need binding, and I think that binding can affect the structure of this bag, because right now it's not very structured. It's very soft. It doesn't have to be structured, but I think that it would look a little bit better. And then when the seams are bound, I'm going to stitch them to the front and back panels, and maybe it's going to create more structure this way. I could have done things a little bit differently. First of all, I could have added a little bit of interfacing to the panels, to the patchwork panels, and that would make the whole thing, again, more sturdy. I could have gone with machine quilting, and actually, for the first time in my life, I think that machine quilting would have looked better and it would make more sense, because machine quilting is more dense. It's going to create a fabric that's more structured, and for this type of bag, structure isn't a bad idea. What else? I messed up one quilting seam right here. My seams don't line up. That's okay, because who cares? And yeah, it's because I was just a little bit in a hurry. I didn't pay attention. I could have. I didn't. I have this huff ring here. It works. And overall, I think that this bag turned out almost exactly how I imagined it. Like, I can imagine seeing it on Pinterest and just not being surprised at all, because I see things like that on Pinterest all the time. They just have like straps, depending on how and where you add things to something like that. It could be a little crossbody bag if you add straps like that. It could be a little, I don't know. Well, the basic structure is very, very simple, and because it has width, it's more than just a pencil case. I can fit more things into it. How is this not off? It should be off. So yeah, I'm going to finish this bag on camera, and maybe I'm going to show up in the middle of the week and we'll do a little keyring situation, because I have a half circle that needs something to hang from it. It makes sense. And I had it planned, I just didn't get to it today because the day was just so long, so long. I was so tired. Maybe because I'm turning 40 tomorrow, and maybe that's just my life now. And maybe it just was a very long, stressful week. I don't know which one. But I might make a video in the middle of the week. If I don't, you can expect me to show up on next Sunday for a sit-down video where I tell you what I learned from 12 months on YouTube. And for now, I'm going to edit this video and go to bed.